Hi, my name is Nacho, welcome back to the channel, and in this video I'm going to talk about the craziness that's surrounding Caviezel's latest film, Sound of Freedom, and how he and Mel Gibson are set on a mission to expose the wealthy elite. The basic plot of the movie follows the story of Tim Ballard, a former US government agent and founder of Operation Underground Railroad, as he embarks on a mission to rescue children from traffickers in Colombia. Now, the movie has already been released in America on the 4th of July and has grossed more than 165 million on a budget of 14.5, which means financially the movie is already a success. It's one of the few movies I know that actually had a bump in viewership as the weeks passed. But what the movie is also doing, and the reason why I'm not reviewing it, is it's delaying its international release and doing so in stages. This being kinda odd is actually a brilliant strategy to maintain interest in the movie, because a lot of the chat generated by people who've already seen it will keep it in the mouths of people who still don't have it available in their country. However, this is not the first time this movie experienced a delay, because filming was finished in 2018. The reason why this movie wasn't released earlier, and you're gonna hear me say this a lot in this video, it's because of a conspiracy theory involving Disney acquiring 20th Century Fox back in 2018 and shelving the film, which is where Mel Gibson comes along as a big supporter of the film, and I'll get back to that in a second. But it also seems that Amazon and Netflix also rejected streaming the movie when approached by the people in it. Now, reading about that news is what initially sparked my interest for the movie, but the more I read about it, the more interesting things got. You see, I have a thing for conspiracy theories in that I do find some of them to be very interesting stories, potentially fake or exaggerated most of the times, but every once in a while certain things going on put them on the side of plausible. One of those things is unusual media attention. A big thing that happened surrounding this movie was the large amount of articles discrediting it and calling it things like a QAnon adjacent thriller that pleases dads with brainworms. That's a bit harsh, isn't it? I personally didn't know what QAnon was. It's basically a conspiracy theory that says that a bunch of the global elite are a bunch of satanic cannibalistic child traffickers that conspired against Trump during his presidency. Who was Trump running against at the time?
What the hell just happened?
Anyways, at first glance, it sounds pretty far-fetched, right? Like a global group of satanic cannibalists? But then you start finding out things like the guys who wrote some of those articles, one of them being the disgusting piece of shit that is Noah Berlatsky, a firm spokesman of the MAP group, Minor Attractive People, also commonly known as pedos, and that for almost every news outlet that came out slamming this movie as a far-right fanatic fantasy and how rooted it is in conspiracy theories, another news of those same people behind the articles being exposed as child molesters quickly followed. Bit of a strange coincidence, don't you think? Makes you really question what the hell is going on over at Rolling Stones. A recent story about how a founder of the film was found guilty of kidnapping a minor was quickly discredited as a smear campaign when they found that the guy merely donated to the movie's crowdfunding and rented an apartment to a woman who kidnapped her own child that she lost custody of. He apparently donated around $500 to the film and was labeled as a major founder. You can even see it on this guy's face. You guys are on some shit, aren't you? That's not even all. Stories have come up of screenings being disrupted or refunded. Two of the related stories that I've read were due to fails in the air conditioning in the theaters. Like, it sounds crazy. The more articles I read, the more I started doubting the trustworthiness of the people writing them. I mean, there's never a bigger sign that a conspiracy theory may be more than such than when a bunch of media outlets run out to the people to tell them not to believe in it. It really makes you wonder who's all the way up that chain allowing these articles to be published. Now, there's still a big name on the table that I haven't mentioned that you guys are probably thinking about now that I've talked about conspiracy theories and the media being sus: Jeffrey Epstein. For the longest time, it has been known that a lot of the global elite, as well as some figures in Hollywood, have had relations with what Epstein was accused of, and the list of his clients he supposedly kept still hasn't been disclosed. To the point that the US government casually said, "Look, aliens," and literally no one turned around and instead demanded for the list to be released to the public. And here's Caviezel talking about it.
I can say one thing. I showed it in Vegas, and there was 5 screenings, about 1,500 people that saw it. During the 5 screenings, each screening, there was talking in this one particular spot. So then one more time it happened. At the end, I was asking about the movie, and I asked him about that one particular part where everybody's talking, and they all cried out Epstein Island. And I went, oh, okay. Now I understand what we're up against. Epstein Island isn't the only sex island out there, and Tim Ballard takes down one in the film.
Child trafficking is a massively growing $152 billion industry, and you know that when there's that much money involved, there are some very powerful names in the vicinity of it. In the last clip, both Caviezel and Berastegui said that some of the top people in Hollywood are 100% involved, which is the other reason why Mel Gibson has a lot of involvement in the film, as he shared in a video that went viral not long ago, saying that ever since he's been involved in the industry, there was always a weird vibe with some of the people in it.
A lot of stuff I couldn't understand.
Right.
And nobody was really bothering to explain it to me.
They don't.
And I formed a bunch of opinions about the town and about the people in it that were like, surely that couldn't be, because a whole place can't be like, you know, weird town. Could it? And then you find out later on the track that you are exactly on track with a lot of this stuff.
Which makes you think about the movie he starred on called Conspiracy Theory in a whole different light. Sound of Freedom also takes place in South America, which is another thing that sparked my interest. When I was in Argentina, the rate of kidnappings was going up incredibly quick, and according to Tim Ballard, war times like the ones going on in Ukraine create a perfect scenario for a lot of the children to go missing. And if I have something to add to the conspiracy, is how much of a push there has been lately from certain parts of primarily America in the acceptance of, for example, sexualized content in children's book. I say America, and then Big W, a retailer here in Australia, released a similar book, but also TV shows, parades, especially during June, and the punishment or ostracizing of people who speak out on behalf of the kids' safety who are labeled as intolerant, for example what happened to Nick Merckx. Luckily, the majority of the public can see past those disgusting tactics, but it almost feels like they're trying to soften the blow that some of these people will receive when or if that list ever gets released and we'll learn who was involved in those crimes. Which is what Jim Caviezel says this film is hoping to accomplish, to create a shift in paradigm. And he's definitely committed to exposing those rings, even to the point of saying that the CIA will have to kill him before he stops. The terrifying thing is, that is not an unlikely scenario. There's definitely a lot of controversy surrounding this film, and I'll make a review of it at the end of the month once it comes out here in cinemas. Let me know if you'll be interested in seeing that. But if you watched this far into the video, leave us a like. Let me know in the comments down below which is your favorite conspiracy theory, anything related to the pyramids. And as always, I've been Nacho. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.